Question for you guys, though. If Dan Quinn were to really come in to this situation and be the head coach, how worried would you be with everything that happened in Atlanta and basically the downhill fall that he kind of had in his tenure after that 28-3 meltdown in the Super Bowl? Like, is that bad taste still sticking with you, or are you willing to give that kind of a guy an opportunity? Because at the end of the day, that's one of the worst collapses in professional sports.
Yeah.
And that's kind of just all I think about when I think of Dan Quinn, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think luckily for him, I think he's actually staying with Dallas. I think he confirmed that today, actually.
Did he?
But yeah, but I mean, still going down 28-3 and you lose the Super Bowl. I mean, who else lost? Staley from the Chargers lost a big playoff game where they were up by a lot to the Jaguars. Like that stuff is GMs think about this stuff. They're like, oh, this dude played Mike Williams the game before and he really didn't have to, and he got injured, and now he's not playing this game. How much did that affect our team? Which I think Mike Williams probably would have got hurt either way. It sounded like he was pretty banged up, but like, I mean, GMs are paying attention. Like, I think Dan Quinn has done a good job in Dallas to like make his reputation known. Like, hey, I'm a good defensive coordinator. I could be a head coach again. I think he would be okay. But we see like Nagy from the Bears, like some of these guys just aren't meant to be head coaches. Some of these guys are meant to be offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators, and they could be super great at it. I mean, Nagy went to go be with Mahomes again, which hell, I could be a good coordinator there probably, but like these guys, sometimes it just doesn't work out. You're just not built with that kind of cloth to do that job. It's just there's a lot more that goes into it than they actually think, I think, and they get in trouble and it just goes downhill quick. I think Kingsbury, like great players coach, players probably loved him for most of the part, probably didn't give them too much fuss about them being late, whatever. Probably a coach that they probably liked because he let them do whatever they want. But when it came down to it in the games, you saw undisciplined. You saw them yelling at each other. I mean, Kyler's yelling at his coach. Go yell at Bill Belichick and see what happens. You ain't playing for the next 20 years there, son. Like, it just doesn't happen like that. Obviously, I played sports. Like, you're going to yell at your teammates. You're gonna get some heated arguments. But saying shut the F up or whatever Kyler said, like, that's some disrespect to me. And that just means, like, Kyler has got you by the balls, big dog. Like, he owns you right now, to me. So I think some of these guys just aren't fit for it. They'll go be head or offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators and do great. Nathaniel Hackett from the Broncos just got fired, going to go be with the Jets. Could be getting Aaron Rodgers. He'll probably do pretty decent. Doesn't have as much responsibility. Probably should be pretty good. We'll see, but sometimes it's just not made for it. I mean, we've taken jobs before, I imagine, or seen people take jobs and it goes downhill very quickly, and you see the ship just drain down the deep.
Another guy that kind of reminds me of that situation, who just a great coordinator, but I don't know if he's really head coaching material. Josh McDaniels with the Las Vegas Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
You know, his tenure with the Broncos was a disaster.
Yep.
I feel like, and now the Las Vegas Raiders, I mean, they were in the playoffs last year with their interim coach and just wilted away. I think there is one thing to say as well in regards to as a team aspect as a whole and how you end a season. I mean, the Cardinals went into the playoffs last year, went to Los Angeles and got the doors beaten off of them. Yeah. And that translated all throughout this year. I mean, doesn't help that you don't have DeAndre Hopkins, doesn't help that we're wondering if Rodney Hudson is going to be a part of this team. And there's a lot of factors for the Cardinals, but that just like residual bad taste in your mouth, if you don't have a real good leader, it follows you. And that's the one thing that I talked about with Dan Quinn. To have such a horrible loss like that, it just translated for the Atlanta Falcons. Whereas right now, the Cincinnati Bengals are as hot as can be and ready to go back to the Super Bowl again because they tasted what they almost had last year. And, you know, they're a first down away, or Aaron Donald being 2 steps slower from possibly winning last year. So that was the good momentum compared to the bad. So I would just be wondering, you know, what kind of situation Dan Quinn would find himself in the future. And if he could kind of get over that, you know?
Yeah.
I think that's the thing, getting over it, right? Because when you have that type of collapse, like what kind of psychological, you know, I don't want to say problems, but like psychologically, like that's gonna stick with you, man. I got to imagine, like are you gonna start questioning your calls, especially if you have a big lead? Like we similarly saw a pretty epic collapse in just this playoffs with the Jaguars and the Chargers. Now that guy managed to keep his job. Mike, to answer your question from a bit back, like of course it sounds like he's off the table now. He signed that multi-year extension with the Cowboys today, but I did like Dan Quinn. I remember seeing videos and stuff from him in like 2016, 2017. Seemed like a very good leader, very outspoken, loud, was respected by his players. And to your guys' point, like you really do need a leader. Like it's great when you got guys like a Kingsbury or McDaniels, who's a real fun guy, real camaraderie with the players. But when it comes down to the discipline on the field, you almost need, someone who's assertive. You're talking about leading men. These are all alpha males. If you use that term, like these guys all think they're the top dog. So how are you the top dog of the top dogs? Like, and Cliff, I think you guys are kind of right. Like he would be probably decent as a coordinator, but he was thrown into this head coaching job as his first NFL gig and just looked scared the whole, like a deer in headlights every game on the sideline. I felt bad for him. Like, and as if that wasn't enough, they threw him on, had a camera crew following him around, put him on Hard Knocks. And this is a lion, and because I'm a Leo, and that's the symbolism there.
Yo,
come on, man.
I also think like when these OCs or DCs become the head coach, like give up the play calling. Like I feel like defensively you could probably figure it out. Offensively, I think you have too much going on with the team. Like I feel like you just need to be the leader. Hire somebody that you trust. For me, that'd be super hard because I trust myself more than I trust anybody, right? I know I'm going to do the job well. That's probably my problem. But I think as a head coach, you have to let that go, at least for the first few years. Get your feet on the ground, get them wet, learn the job. You've already been around probably good coaches beforehand. Like, breathe a little bit. You don't have to do everything as the head coach. Like, you can let somebody else call the plays and be just fine. You can be in their ear. You can be in meetings. It's not a big deal.
Exactly.
But take that help while you can. Like, you're free of it. You don't have to do it no more. You just hire to do it. Unless you're the Patriots, you don't hire a guy. Then you got a defensive guy running your offense, which I don't know. Then they don't work out. It didn't seem like.
And you're the head coach. You can always, if the offensive guy's like, I want to run this play, you're like, now we're gonna run this play. Like, I'd imagine a head coach has that discretion if he really wants. Like, hey, let me take the reins for this drive. Why don't you go get a Gatorade or something? Like, I don't know. Why would you make it harder on yourself by not hiring a coordinator? That always, I get Cliff fancies himself an offensive mind, but it's like, come on, dude. Like,
you want to know why Dan Campbell is succeeding? Dude didn't even know a trick play to his tackle was happening. Didn't worry about it. Saw the play happen in front of him. Worked out. He's happy. Like, he's not worried about calling the offense plays or defense plays. Dude played tight end in the NFL. Like, he knows what he's doing, but he doesn't have to do it. He literally has guys he trusts, and he didn't even know trick plays were happening. It's like, to me, that's awesome. You give your guys the full reins to do whatever the heck they want, freeze everybody up, everybody's happy. Like, that's a good work environment to be in. I feel like there.
Pretty good. That's a great point.
I would spontaneously combust if I was trying to be the head coach and call plays at the same time, dude. I just got way too much that I got to be looking at and worrying about.
Yep.
Find somebody that you trust, exactly like you said, Chev. And you're going to be right there. You could chirp in his ear. Hey, maybe we go for the halfback draw on this one. I'm sure, build that good working relationship.